everybody. It's Georgia Reed from Cybercrime Magazine, and I'm here today with a very special guest and woman in cyber, Sylvia Acevedo, the CEO of Girl Scouts of the USA.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Yes, welcome. Thank you so much for coming out. Tell me a little bit about the necklace that you're wearing with the locks on it. You said that was something special that you were going to wear for the cybersecurity.
Yeah, I was speaking last year at the RSA conference, and I had this necklace made, which is a gold chains, but then I had locks put on it. So it's got probably 6 locks on it. And the whole idea is the importance of security when you're talking about cybersecurity. So it's a fun way to sort of engage people in the topic.
I'm definitely going to copy you on that. That's very cool. I like that a lot.
Oh, thanks.
So I'm very excited to have you here. Just give our listeners and viewers a little background on yourself. I know you just came out with your autobiography, Path to the Stars.
Yes.
It's my journey from Girl Scout to rocket scientist, and now you're back as the CEO of the Girl Scouts of the USA. So clearly a passion that made a big difference in your life as being in the Girl Scouts. So just tell us a little bit about your path to where you are today.
Well, thank you. Yes, I'm really excited about Path to the Stars. And I wrote it 4 years ago because I realized that there are a lot of kids that were abandoning math in middle school, math and science in middle school. So I thought they needed to understand that there are a lot of people that haven't let go of their dreams and actually had their dreams come true because they had math and science. In addition to that, the world is being recreated around data. And if you don't have any background in math and science, you are really limiting your career opportunities. So with that idea in mind, I wanted to tell my story of how I overcame a lot of challenges. All my grandparents were from Mexico. My mom was born in Mexico. My dad was born in the U.S. And there were times that we lived, on dirt roads. We lived paycheck to paycheck.
Sure.
But, what was the pivot point in my life was Girl Scouts and my troop leader seeing me look at the stars and teaching me that there's constellations up there. Mm-hmm. And then later on remembering that and encouraging me to earn a science badge. And I did that making Estes rockets, which was really fun. It took me quite a few times, and I learned about gravity and how do you get something to, leave gravity's grip and go up, right? So I was always fascinated with that. But what it taught me was that I liked science and I liked math. So at a young age, I began taking science and math electives. And the more you do something, the better you get at it. And I got so good that eventually, I became an engineer and then a rocket scientist at NASA's JPL, the Jet Propulsion Labs in Pasadena, California. And I worked on 2 missions. One was the Voyager 2, which did a flyby of Jupiter, and I worked on analyzing data from Jupiter and its moons, Io and Europa. I think it has like 65 moons. And
it's got a few, yeah.
Yeah. So I got to work on those 2.
The big ones are Io and Europa.
Yeah, and those are the ones I got to analyze the data from. And then I worked on a project that took many years to complete, which was the Solar Probe that got renamed Parker Solar Probe and recently launched. But I did that, and then I went and got my master's at Stanford, and I had a great career. But I realized the book is, you can overcome a lot of challenges. And, one of the stories I tell is, if people have watched the movie Hidden Figures, there's a pivotal scene where the woman had to run a really long distance to get to a bathroom. Well, when one of my first jobs, there wasn't even a bathroom, right?
Oh, wow.
And
for
so,
ladies.
Yeah,
because then weren't even thinking ladies would work here?
Not at all.
I see.
And I didn't let that stop me. And I thought, okay, I've got to identify where the bathrooms are. And then I also thought I got to not drink a lot of fluids because I've got to limit that. And I never, complained. I just showed up to work, kept doing my job. Finally, after 6 weeks, they thought, well, she's not quitting. So they brought me my own. It was a white porta potty, and it said hers on it.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. So, the book is really to inspire middle school kids and their parents and their teachers that you can live a life of your dreams and you can overcome obstacles. You can create your future. You can set your goals and then you create the small steps and execute them. And I know for a lot of people, they think, well, what's the secret? Well, that is the secret. You dream your dreams, that what the future is that you'd like to have, and then you start creating that path and charting that path, and then you work to make that happen. And by having that focus, it really does enable a lot of things to come your way, but also you've got to continue to work at them.
Well, you're a real inspiration for everybody, man, woman.
Thank you.
I think it's great that you're heading up the Girl Scouts right now. Cybersecurity Ventures named you Cybersecurity Person of the Year for 2018 because you've pushed so hard for these extra STEM badges. Specifically, we were really excited about the cybersecurity badges. And I know that you did have some work experience in Silicon Valley.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you come to the idea that it's time for cybersecurity badges now? And I know you worked with Palo Alto Networks on the curriculum. So tell us a little bit about how that came about.
Well, when I became the CEO of Girl Scouts, I saw what we had identified, the importance of STEM, but I saw that we were had a plan that was going to take like 8 years. And I'm like, no, you've got to be much faster. So we switched to an agile style of development. And so we started focusing on our design, our engineering badges. But as we were coming out with our first robotics badges and our different engineering badges, we asked girls what they wanted. And we were really surprised. The girls said to us, we want cybersecurity badges. We want to protect ourselves online, our digital lives. And we were very surprised because that was consistent across the United States. Mm-hmm. So that got us together with Palo Alto Networks, who also was looking at it in terms of the big gap between women in cybersecurity. And they needed to really reach more young women. And so they thought, well, what a great partnership. And indeed it is, because girls all over America that are in Girl Scouts are very much concerned about, how do I protect my digital life? How do I protect, my family's computer, my school's computer? And then as they get older, they start thinking about, well, who's protecting our electrical grid? Or right now, so many girls are interested in STEM as it applies to, keeping our voting systems, the cybersecurity aspects of keeping our voting systems valid so that they can't be hacked. These are things that are really interesting to girls. So when we saw their tremendous interest, we started partnering with Palo Alto Networks. And what was interesting is they brought their technical people, but what we're experts in at Girl Scouts is how girls learn and lead. So we took their subject matter expertise, but then we put it in a way that was really reflective of girls. And I'll give you a couple of examples. So it was so important to understand networking, right? So how do viruses get spread, et cetera. So you have to understand networks. So when we talk to the subject matter experts, they're like, okay, we're going to start with the physical network, right? And, to understand networking, it's 7 levels of protocol, and the first protocol level is the physical layer. And we're like, okay, that's good. Hand it over to us. We're going to put it in a way that girls will understand, especially elementary girls. So what we did was we get the girls to sit in a circle, and then we give them a ball of yarn. Mm-hmm. And as they talk with one another, they pass the ball of yarn to one another.
Oh, interesting.
And so within
creating a real network they can see.
Exactly. And then you say, that's a network. And they're like, that's it? That's a network. Yes, you saw the network. And so when then you take them to the next step and you say, so do you wonder how viruses get passed when these two girls never even talk to each other, right?
Sure.
But you could track the path and you could say, oh my gosh, that's how it happened. So they then get the idea. And so what we say, and so each of our we start with daisies, and we teach daisies how computers code. And so I've got
with
a little
binary.
Yeah, with the binary.
You were talking about the bracelet. Let's see the bracelet.
So we have this bracelet, which are the blue beads are 0 and the yellow beads are 1. And so what we teach the girls is, here's the alphabet expressed in binary. So then we give them a piece of string and we said, okay, do a bracelet with your initials. They get so excited. And within 10, 15 minutes, they've created a bracelet with their initials. And so mine is S and then A. And then they want a longer piece of string because then they want to put their name. And then they want a longer string because then they're going to put a whole sentence together. And so what they're doing is they're coding.
They're coding right away, just 7 years old.
And there's fun. No, these are 5 and 6 year olds.
What?
I know.
That's
pretty
really
amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really fun.
So, we want to get more girls involved in cybersecurity, of course, and Cybersecurity Ventures predicts that by 2021, which is just a few years away, there will be 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs. And when we heard about the cybersecurity badges, we thought that a lot of Girl Scouts might be filling those jobs. So how many Girl Scouts do continue on to college and go into STEM, and what are we kind of predicting? So
we're starting to track more rigorously our alums, but we can tell you that if a girl is in Girl Scouts, she's 7 times more likely to go on to college. So we're really starting to track all of that. We've got a partnership with LinkedIn. So if anybody's listening and they were a Girl Scout, please put your Girl Scout affiliation on LinkedIn and join the Girl Scout network on LinkedIn. But in addition to that, when we're going out to conferences, like last weekend I was at Dreamforce and I spoke to their big women's initiative and I asked them, how many of you were Girl Scouts? 80% raised their hand. And then I was talking to their top lawyer at Salesforce, and she said, amongst the executive staff, 80% of the women who are on the executive team at Salesforce were Girl Scouts. So
okay,
it's just
so they're in tech.
Yeah.
We'd like to see more women in
We'd
technology
love to see much
and
more.
cybersecurity.
Yeah, I kind of call it, there's a path, but we need to make that a highway. And with Girl Scouts, because we scale, we're in every residential zip code, we're in rural communities, we're in the hollers, we're in urban communities. We have big initiatives to reach all girls that, that's where the workforce is coming from. And if we do what we're doing, which make it in a fun, innovative way, we know that that's going to be something that they're going to want to pursue.
There's a number that circulates in the media a lot, which, based on our research, we consider to be a misrepresentation of the percentage of cyber workers who are women. And the number that you see a lot is just 11% of the cybersecurity workforce is female. And we think that that's a flawed statistic. But what can you see as a benefit of having more women in higher levels positions in cybersecurity? How will that benefit us as we develop more apps, as we continue on this digital age of having interconnected devices?
There are so many unique concerns that a lot of women have, a lot of young women, Girl Scouts have told me, is they get really concerned that location services on their iPhone, that they can be tracked everywhere, that it's not easy, in fact, really difficult to default from that. So people who may not want to do you, people who may want to do you harm can track you. So that's a big concern.
And lives have been lost due to location services.
Yes, right. Unfortunately. And then when you think about other things that you think life-saving or certainly things that make it easier around the home, like a Roomba vacuum cleaner, the blueprints of your home go up into the cloud. And if somebody can hack that cloud, they have a blueprint of your house. They know when you're there. They know where the dog is. They know the route that you walk around in your home.
They know how much I sweep or don't.
Exactly.
But that's still a scary thought. I mean,
that kind
the
of information.
IoT is leaving us that vulnerable.
Exactly. And I think a lot of girls feel that. And then now, as I think there are 4 initiatives with Google, Apple, IBM, and Microsoft, where they're really looking at how is the phone going to be our personal physician, our physician in our pocket. Then you begin thinking about, oh my goodness, what if the insurance providers get there first and they start writing in default code so that they will know about a medical condition before perhaps we know about it and maybe change our insurance level. We need to have more women and girls, people starting to have those conversations that have the technical background, that have the interest, from not just a coding, but a marketing, a legal aspect, to really think about those issues. Because sometimes the ethos in Silicon Valley is, write the code, figure it out, and then later on try to think about these other issues. But by then, it's really not too late, or it's significantly more difficult to put the genie back in the bottle.
Sure, I have heard a lot from people I interview here at Cybercrime Magazine that they're trying to come up with a more proactive approach instead of just reacting all the time to the bad guy or to the vulnerability. And I think that's really important also. And I think women do have a unique perspective on the world, that if they're sitting on that board or they're sitting in that development meeting, they'll say, I don't feel safe about that.
Right, exactly.
That's a unique perspective that ladies have. So
yeah, when you think about your at-home devices that can listen to you all day long, being able to turn those off should be an easier default setting. And I think a lot of people, what they do is they just unplug them, but then they think, well, when I wake up, I want it on, but there should be easier ways to be able to control some of that information. I know a lot of moms get really concerned that if their kids are home alone and somebody hacks into their network and understands that, oh, it's only these 2 kids talking at home, they're alone, there isn't an adult. Or what if it's a woman alone and maybe she doesn't want people to know and somebody hacks into her system as well. So there are a lot of issues that I think are very, not only unique to women, but certainly women think about them a lot. Personal safety and security is one of them. And it hasn't always been at the forefront of some of these technology solutions.
Do you see a lot of parents and troop leaders getting excited about the STEM badges?
I have to say, we were totally surprised with cybersecurity. One, the girls really insisted on it, so we were responding to them. But to put it in perspective, Girl Scouts are really known for our amazing cookie program. And
they are delicious.
They are delicious. And last year in a good media year for the cookie program, we got over 1 billion hits.
Oh wow!
Which is really, it's a well-established program. People know about it. When we introduced our cybersecurity, we got well over 1 billion media hits. We were shocked.
Amazing. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yes, and so we were really trying to understand why that was. And when we did, parents, troop leaders, everyone knows somebody who's had their personal identity or financial identity hacked, whether it's because of your credit card or somebody broke into your system or something. Everyone knows somebody. So cybersecurity is at top of mind. And the thing about Girl Scouts is we are a very trusted brand, an incredibly trusted brand. We're one of the top 10 brands in the world. And so when you put together this known issue of cybersecurity with one of the world's top trusted brands, it's a really good connection. So parents say, oh great, you're going to teach my daughter some skills that we're going to be able to use at home. For example, our network, we don't always feel comfortable bringing in an external consultant to work on our home computer because they'll have all of our passwords and then they'll have the keys to the kingdom. Much better if our daughter understands what ransomware is and just other different things so that we can protect our home security system.
Yeah, and not only that, but it's high time that little kids are learning about cybersecurity. I mean, children have devices now, children are connected. So I read, I think it was in the Wall Street Journal article, that you pushed very hard to get these cybersecurity badges before the original launch date, which was something like 2025.
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely the case.
That's a little too late.
It is way too late. And so the team had to go back and we actually implemented the agile style of development. So you could do a lot of things in parallel. And also we didn't hire the subject matter experts to be internal. We hired the all the cyber experts, or we partnered with Palo Alto Networks because we didn't want to have somebody who was outside of the mainstream. We wanted somebody that was in the industry. But once we did that, we, on the other hand, in parallel, were working on, what's the best way to teach these concepts to girls at different development stages?
Of course, yeah.
And then, how do the girls want it presented? And, as the girls get older, they want to do things in teams, maybe do hackathons. They want to see it that way. As they're younger girls, they want to do it in terms of friendship network circles. So we wanted to make sure that our programs were age appropriate so that the girls wanted to do them. Because if Girl Scouts isn't fun, you're not going to do it, right?
Right.
So we wanted to make sure it was fun, but it was still relevant. I'll tell you about another one with another partner of ours. This is about getting more girls to do national defense, defense. And it's about teaching principles about water. Because a lot of girls don't know about buoyancy and they don't know about center of gravity. And these are really important skills when you're trying to create cyber defenses that have to come from, threats in the ocean or the sea. So they said, okay, we want you to teach, buoyancy and center of gravity. And so, of course, the traditional thing is you're going to create boats and you're going to have a boat race, right? But we're like, we want to get girls interested. And so we said, great, we understand you want us to teach those concepts. Now we're going to make it interesting to girls. So what we did is they create a model corgi dog, which is like
corgis are the very cute dogs, the fluffy ones, yes.
Yes, the queen's dogs, right? Why corgi? Low center of gravity, right? Short
rather
legs,
round,
right? Not known for swimming.
Sure.
So you create a model corgi, and now that corgi is going to be in water. How do you keep it so that it is upright? So now you have to understand center of gravity.
Sure.
It floats, and what flotation device do you create so that it lives? No girl wants her corgi to drown.
Yeah.
So she creates this, and along the way, she's learned all these really important principles. Right? So that's where we put our expertise in, making something that may seem somewhat technical, but in a way that's really relevant and interesting to girls.
To young girls, and maybe young girls do learn a little bit differently than young boys. And how are your membership numbers, and what are we doing to increase membership?
Yes, one of them is, really putting a focus on older girls. So for a while, we sort of abdicated a lot of focus on older girls. We kept some programs, but we didn't really bring in robust program thinking, and we're remedying that. In addition to that, there's been a sea change in how girls communicate with one another, which is through mobile devices.
Absolutely.
So in parallel, we're coming up with mobile devices, with applications on mobile devices so that they can track their badges. And as they track their badges, they can then look at the qualifications that they're earning so that you have a profile or a digital resume along with your Girl Scout experiences. So that's great. And then we're really expanding our programming for older girls. Certainly a lot with outdoor adventures, but especially in STEM. Girls really want a lot more programming, think like a programmer, design thinking, cyber efforts, but they also want a part of them to be unplugged. And
sure.
One of the things that
what if we go down? What if the network goes down?
That's really important. And also, not a lot of girls and women have been in the design thinking of many of the applications. So we want girls to also think about the principles in an unplugged way. What we call it is wonder. We want girls to be able to wonder without any artificial barriers.
That is one of the mottos of Girl Scouts, I believe, right? Learning how to wonder at the world and
yes.
be curious and everything like that.
Absolutely.
I want to give you a present.
Oh my goodness.
Now hold on one moment. Hit it down here.
Well, I'm really excited here.
It is the official Cybersecurity Person of the Year award.
I'm really thrilled. This is
We
so
are
fantastic.
thrilled to have you here.
I'm really, really excited. Wow. Beautiful. Oh, wow. Look at this. My goodness.
So that is...
Oh, wow. I am really honored. What a beautiful,
We're honored to
award.
have you here.
Oh, I'm just
This
so
is
thrilled.
super exciting. And we're really... And Carrie Morgan, she's one of our women who works here at Cybercrime Magazine, and she's really interested, and we're starting a new Youth in Cyber series.
That's fantastic.
So you're the first, of course. Also part of our Women in Cyber series, which is doing really, really well. We have, thousands of women in cyber you can follow on Twitter. You can see our list of women in cyber, and we have videos ranging from White House Chief Information Officers to you to Microsoft executives on our Women in Cyber series. So this has been, an awesome interview.
Well, thank you very much. You're doing very important work, and you're really highlighting an important aspect of cybersecurity. We need to have all of our great minds, both boys, girls, men, women, as part of developing our solutions and keeping us safe.
Well, thank you very much, Sylvia.
Oh, thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.